All right, welcome to the Power Games 2.0 for 2025. So, you may have already been through the Power Games training. You may have done it in the 4-week Power Games course itself, or you may be familiar because you used it as part of the foundational work for Sovereign Soldier, or maybe you've just not got there yet. That's fine, doesn't matter. What I'm going to do with this, although this is our workshop as such, we're actually going to replace the Power Games training. We're going to update it as such. You can still go through that 4-week Power Games course and gain loads from it. You can still use the previous Power Games. You can still do all of that. That's absolutely fine. But my goal here is to simplify it and just to make it even more powerful. Okay, because things need updating, things need to be improved as things change. And the biggest thing that I have noticed as you get deeper and deeper into high performance, simplicity becomes even more important. Okay, so the higher the performance, the more important the simplicity is. What we want to try and do with this is take the power games and improve it and make sure that we're investing our time, our energy, our efforts into the highest leverage activities that we can. So, if you're not familiar, the power games are designed to put you in a position every day that when you step outside your door and you go about your day, you feel like you can cope. You're in a position of power. That's why it's called the power games. It's a series of habits that, when stacked together, should put you at your best. Now, the previous power games was 4 points daily. Okay. So it was designed to be mind, body, heart, and soul. And for each area, you had different activities, different points. So for the body side of it, it was some kind of fitness. So we had a movement for half a point, and we had fuel for half a point. So that could have been hydrating, taking your supplements, having a green shake, whatever it is. For the soul side of it, it was doing something for someone else and doing something for you. So we called that bestow and behold. So that was the half a points there. We had the mind side of it, which was a twofold journal approach. So you had to answer questions in your journal, and you also had to complete a creed composer, which is something that helps shift your focus. So it's a journaling tool where you could take something that was on your mind and change your focus around it. And then we had the heart point, which was getting into a meditation or heart breathing or something similar. So these were half a point, this was a point, these were half a point, and these were half a point, and it all added up to 4 points total. And you could track that across the course of the week, and that would give you an idea of how consistent you were being with your habits. And if you were being consistent with them, you should have noticed that you're feeling good, you feel empowered, you feel like you're in a solid place. Now, these are all important foundational habits. I believe everybody, whether you are a first responder or not, should have these habits in place. We should be taking care of our physical health. We should be doing something to help manage our mind. We should be doing something to help us get into our body and kind of learn how to deal with the nervous system. And of course, we should be doing something for ourselves and for others. These are basics. But what I want to do is take this basic structure for the old power games and simplify it, give you a new version. Okay. So you don't need to go back and do the 4 weeks of Power Games training unless you really want to. Each weekly session will delve into one of these. So week one, we talk about this, the body aspect of it. Week two, I believe we go into the mind side of it and the journaling. Week three is the meditation and the heart stuff, and it kind of coincides with the journaling. And then week four is the soul side of things. I think that's right. Could be the other way around, but that's the basic structure of it. Each week focuses on a different Power Games point and it goes into detail and explains how to do it. If you want to do that at base level, go for it. But you may find what I'm about to explain now is even more powerful for you. So let's move this down a little bit. So, like I said earlier, the further along you get, the more important it becomes to simplify and focus on the highest leverage activities because you've got time and it's a limited amount. You need to focus on the things that are going to get you the biggest benefits. Okay. So this is the new simplified version of the Power Games. So we're going to go 3 points this time. So the areas are Get my pen to work. So we have three areas. The first area is physical, okay? So your physical body. The second area is going to be relationships. And the third area, we're calling it personal, okay? So PRP. Think of it more as a triangle. Now, there's a bit of individualization in this that you can now apply, all right? So the first thing we want to think about, much similar to what we did before, is our physical body. If we take care of our physical body, it's much easier to take care of our mind and our emotions and our relationships. So to score 1 point for the physical aspects, we want half a point devoted to some kind of movement. Okay. Now, I don't give a shit what your movement is. I don't. Like, you know how to move. You know how to stay fit and strong for your job. You have your own training programs, or you're using stuff from the Project Tempest Vault. That's fine. You move in a way that works for you. I have my own training program. So for me to score my movement point, I just have to complete one of my training sessions, whatever that may be. Yesterday, 4 sets of 2 reps, weighted pull-ups, front squats, bench press. That's it. That's my movement for the day. Today, for example, it will be some form of sprints, probably with kettlebell swings. So you just do whatever your daily movement is. It might even be a walk, whatever you got planned for that specific day as part of your movement program, that's what you do. That gets you half a point. Okay. The second thing is you got to fuel yourself properly. So this is where it gets more personalized. What that looks like for you will depend on your weak points. So if you know you need to work on your gut health, it could be taking, your probiotics, your prebiotics. If you know that your hydration is poor, it could be hydration. If you know that you're just not getting enough nutrients daily, then it could be, like we said before, having a green smoothie or taking your supplements or whatever that may be. If you want to go a bit deeper, maybe you're doing the nutrition quest. You could be giving yourself half a point for completing that. So if you're on that particular quest, it gives you a series of actions to complete each day to help you eat better. If you can complete that, you fulfill those actions, you can give yourself half a point for fuel there. So I want you to tweak this to suit where you're at with your nutrition currently. So for me, at the minute, it would be taking my supplements because I've been tweaking the routine, trying to figure out what's going to work best. So my half a point would be my supplements. Okay, for you, it could be just making sure you hydrate enough, or it could be cook a healthy meal. Whatever it is, all right, that's going to be relevant to you. And then, as we said, half a point for your movement. So relationships. Relationships matter. And when you work a lot, they get battered. And when you struggle with stress and burnout, it can be very easy to become isolated and to pull away from the people you care about and to just go inwards. And we know that going quiet and going inwards is not beneficial because not only does it hurt you, it also hurts the people around you. So every day, we're going to invest half a point into our relationships. Now, the first relationship, we're going to call it community. Okay. Now, that could be a work community, it could be your community, it could be a group or something you're part of, it could be the Project Tempest community, it doesn't matter. I just want you to contribute something small to one of your communities. It's really important that we all have a third place, somewhere that we go that is outside of home, outside of work, that makes us feel like we belong. People that get us. And for you, Project Tempest might well be that. So you can contribute something to this community, be that dropping a comment. If you're in one of the support groups, you can post something in there, you can like something, whatever it is. You can invite a friend, you could send the rescue pack to a friend. It doesn't matter. Just contribute to your community actively. If you're, heavily into the gym, maybe you're in the CrossFit community, go do something useful for that community. It could be as simple as helping someone put their weights away. It doesn't need to be massive. It doesn't need to be time consuming. It doesn't need to cost you anything. It's just that actively doing something for your community. Because then we activate the principles of reciprocity. The more you give, the more you get. Although it's not about getting, it is actively about giving, but still reciprocity applies to this. Plus, it's going to help you. It will bring you in closer. It will build connection, and then that community will become even more powerful part of your daily life. And then the second aspect is obviously your family. So that might be husbands, wives, kids, parents, sisters, brothers, cousins, aunts, uncles, doesn't matter. Just reach out to someone who's in your family and just give them a moment of your time. It could be as simple as sending a text to someone to tell them that you're thinking about them. It could be as simple as sending a silly gift to your wife to make her laugh when she's having a bad day. It could be sitting down with your kid and asking them how they got on at school and taking an interest. It's just giving someone that little bit of you because they'll give a little bit back. And that's how we build connection. So that's the kind of key thing here is we're looking for connection. All right, that's what this comes down to. We all need connection. And when you have a difficult job and it's stressful, connection is something that we tend to lose, either unconsciously as we pull away from people, or if we start to get a bit difficult with our behavior, then we can easily sabotage relationships. So it's important that we invest in these. We put stuff in the bank so that we're building up, we're building up the goodwill, we're building up the reciprocity, and we're building up the connection. Okay. So half a point for each of those. And then we have personal. This is where it gets interesting because this is where you get to make this your own. Now, this is going to be one complete point. You can either split it into a couple of different actions or you can just do one thing. This is where you do something for you to help you in your journey. So you're going to look across the things you're currently working on. So if you are, let's say you're in Sovereign Soldier and you're in phase 1 and you're in the middle of the brain rebuild, that one point might be completing the Sovereign meditation, okay, to give you an idea. Let's say you're further down the line and you're in the same program, it could be completing the Light Warrior experience. Okay. It could be, let's say you are at the minute actively working on how you decompress between shifts, between calls on shift. It might be using the SHIELD protocol. You can give yourself a point for that. Maybe at the minute you're trying to deal with burnout. So you give yourself a point for hitting a recovery protocol. Okay. You see where this is going. Wherever you're at within the Project Tempest program or whatever you're working on personally, you give yourself a point for completing that. You might be working on something completely outside of this. So something in a personal goal. Let's say, I know some of you are working towards promotions and things like that. Let's say you've got to complete a qualification. All right. So maybe you've got an assignment. All right. If you work on that for 90 minutes or an hour, or whatever you define, you give yourself a point for that. Okay. This has to be about actively moving towards your goals. All right. So you need to have absolute clarity around what you're working on at the moment. And then each day pick something that will move you towards whatever that is. So you're here, you'll want to go over here. We've got a series of steps in between. You've seen me draw this out before. What are these steps? When you complete one of these, whatever that may be, no matter how big or how small, you give yourself that point. That's what gives you the flexibility and the variability with this. So for example, let's say you're just taking micro steps in a minute and you're just dealing with the daily work stress. Let's say you use the stress slasher protocol at the end of the day, 10 minutes. There you go, that's your personal point. Or let's say, as I said here, you're working on something big, you do a 1 month day. And that gets you it. They're two completely different things with completely different energy and time investments, but they both count for one thing because they're moving you towards where you want to be over here. Okay. So this is where we're at. 3 points a day, physical, half a point for your movement, half a point for your fuel, however that looks. Relationships, half a point for investing in your family bank account. And I mean in the energetic and attention sense, not the physical, put money in the bank, unless you want to. And then we've got the community, investing in your community. Okay, so this is all about your connection. And then 1 point for doing something that moves you closer, moves you from A to B. So whatever that may be, using a tool from the Vault, using a protocol, it could be completing a piece of the program. It could be completing one of the bigger exercises from inside the program. It could be doing something personal. Whatever it is, it has to move you closer to your goals. So if you don't know what your goal is, what your vision is, then you're going to need to do some work on that. And the act of working on that can even become your personal point here. If you're sitting here thinking, God, I don't know what B is. I know where I'm at now, but I don't know what I'm working towards. I don't know what B is. You need to do some work on a vision. Okay. And that could form your point. You spend a week doing the various vision related exercises, go through clarity of purpose, go through the phase 2 of Sovereign Soldier if you're a bit more advanced, build out the vision. That's your personal point. Okay. For me at the moment, I have this nailed. Okay. This is not a problem for me. This is my anchor anyway, movement and eating well. Um, I'll train 5, 6 times a week with no issue at all. It wasn't always that way, but I've got into the habit of doing it. It's part of my life. It's my anchor. If I do that, then I do this as well because I know I need to support it. So those two go hand in hand for me. This is something that I am guilty of maybe not being as good as I should. I'm quite introverted and I do have a habit of retreating when I get stressed. I do try to actively give to my communities. So the various communities that I'm in, the kickboxing community, some of the coaching programs that I help out with, and of course you guys, I'm always trying to actively give there. Family, again, I could definitely do a little bit more to give. Um, my family dynamic shifted a little bit after dad died, but it's one of those things that you give what you get. So I could definitely do more there. So this might become a focus point for me. And then over here, again, personally, for me right now, I'll give you a bit of context. I've been on a journey delving into hormones, genetics, DNA, all this kind of stuff. I have loads and loads of data to collect about myself and how I perform and all that kind of stuff. I've gone super deep. And one of the biggest things is that I massively under recover. Like I'm always telling you guys how important your recovery is. I need to step mine up. So for me, it's not a massive overhaul, but my personal point will come from breath work and journal daily and some particular, you know, these are small things because these are things I teach you guys in the beginning, but I've been inconsistent with them because I've been so busy focusing on the other stuff that they've fallen to the wayside. So I know that the other recovery things I'm doing, hot tub, stretching, physical stuff, all that, and the weekly recovery protocol, great. But I'm missing the daily micro stuff. I've got the macro covered, the bigger picture, but it's the daily micro that I will be focusing on. So for me, this one point over here is just going to be hitting the daily journal and doing daily breath work. Doesn't seem like a lot, but those micro things will add up and they will contribute and they will help enhance the macro stuff that I'm doing as well. So this is where we're at. And hopefully giving you a bit of insight into what I'm doing will help you build out what you're doing. I think that this is simpler, which is what we need. The higher performance you are, the more simple we think what can't speak, the more simple we want things to be. And these will focus on the highest leverage activities for you as well, the things we need to invest in most. You have to invest in your relationships and connection. That's so important for human health and well-being. You have to invest in your physical health, and then you have to invest in your personal wellness. And that will come in many different forms. And this gives you the ability to customize it, and to make it more individual to you. Let's see if I can zoom out. So we've got the big picture here. Hold on. Okay. So there we've got the original Power Games, and now we have the new advanced Power Games. 3 points a day, PRP, physical, relationships, personal. I would love to know how you're going to do this, how you're going to tackle it, what you've got kind of in your mind for doing this, but I think this will simplify it as well. And it will just make things easier for you. So, in particular, that personal point, because if you're very new to this journey and you've never really looked after yourself, you can really dive in and make this, personal to you. You could be doing a sleep routine. So that could be it. It could just be doing a daily journal, whatever it is, gives you opportunity to customize based on you, and your particular needs at any given point. So this particular point here, the personal one, will change and merge and grow as you go through the program. There'll be points where, right, I'm working on a nervous system reset. That's going to be my personal point. At this stage, I'm going to be working on my physical fitness. So it might be an extra thing that you add in. You hit your normal movement and your fuel, but maybe you need to go get a massage every week to help. Or maybe you're doing learning a skill or a sport, whatever that may be. It can all go in here, okay? Now there's one more aspect to this, okay? So that's the basic. We've got the triangle, P, R, P, 3. Doesn't really look like an R, but there we go. The next stage is to figure out the minimum effective dose. So excuse me a second. Minimum effective dose, med. So if you've seen the winter workshop, you will have heard me talk about this a little bit, and the nature of progress, because this can seem a bit, oh, it's another thing for me to do. I'm already busy. I don't have time for this shit, and that's one of the reasons why I've simplified it, so we don't have that. And I want you to see it as an investment in yourself rather than a thing to do. But there will be times, I'm going to write investment because I think that's important. There will be times where life gets crazy. Maybe you're on a 24-hour shift that's nonstop and everybody in the world has had an accident and you're needed constantly. That's okay. Because when that happens and when life gets crazy and things go a bit wrong, we look to the minimum effective dose. So I'm going to show you how you can build this out for yourself. But to give you a bit of context, in the winter workshop, I talk about there being a ceiling and a floor. The ceiling here is you at the best of the best. So let's say everything's going well, you're doing awesome, you're getting up every day, you're smashing a workout, you're eating perfectly, you're doing everything you need to do, and you're up here, you're on the ceiling, and your activities are just spot on. You're basically like at your peak level, your peak performance. The floor, on the other hand, is you at your worst. Okay? Is you when you're just on the struggle bus and you just can't be asked to do anything and you're struggling, you're at your worst. And that's okay because everyone is at their worst from time to time. And what we have between these two is a gap, all right? So if we can learn to sit somewhere between these two, so our daily actions look like this rather than the floor or the ceiling, then we will progress. Because what happens for most people, let's just rub this off so you can see. What happens for most people is they will fall off, they'll struggle, they'll hit the canyon of chaos, and they'll be down here with their daily efforts and their daily habits, be at their worst. And then think, no, I don't want this, I've got to pick up. So they'll try and be at their absolute best. So they'll pick straight up. Boom, I'm doing everything right. And it's just not sustainable. Something happens, life happens, or they just physically don't have the capacity. It's way outside of what they can currently manage. So they hit the floor again, and we're back down here. And then we're not happy with that. So we end up, no, not having this back up. And we end up with this up, down, up, down, up, down cycle over and over. And that is hugely draining. It's so difficult to deal with. So what we want to try and do, instead of being in that place, is we just want to try and do better than our worst. So if we can consistently sit somewhere in between our best and our worst, we will notice that everything oscillates a little bit more gently. Our progress is less stunted, it's less up, down extremes, and it's more of a gentle oscillation. And we will make progress, but it's easier. We can do that. Everyone can just do a little bit better than their worst, but not everyone can be at their best every day. But if I say to you, well, today, just do a bit better than your worst, you'll be able to do that. And you'll be able to do that consistently, as opposed to me saying, no, you've got to be on it, you've got to be at your absolute best every day, because nobody can do that. Nobody's superhuman, okay? Even the most disciplined, irritatingly good people are not at their best every day, okay? So if you can do that, over time, what you'll start to notice is your floor, what used to be your worst, will actually rise. So if you get good at just kind of staying in the middle here, that actually becomes your lowest effort. And then all of a sudden we have a new floor, which means our ceiling naturally gets pushed upwards by our actions. So all of a sudden we have a new ceiling, a new floor, and we've stepped up without even having to push too hard. This is the key to consistency. All right. The biggest thing I want you to take from this is just do better than your worst. If you can do that consistently over time, you will get results. And then eventually, what was your worst will become, what was your average will actually become your worst. And then that's an opportunity to step up again and again. And that's how you keep raising the ceiling without trying to smash through it like you would with this approach. Okay. So do better than your worst and you will make progress. So this is where we come back here, minimum effective dose. So you're going to have an A, a B, and a C. So power games, A, B, C. On a good day, where you've got time, you've got energy, and you're more up here towards the ceiling, so you might be up here a little bit more, you'll be able to do this in a certain way. So your workout, for example, might be 60 minutes. You might smash, all your macros for your nutrition. You might hit a nervous system protocol. My pen's not working. Okay. You might journal. You might, go on a date with your partner. Send your mum flowers. I'm just going to draw a flower because my pen's not working very well. There you go. So you get the idea. This is you nearer to the ceiling, taking these activities that we've discussed, PRP, and then doing them to a high level. B is an average day, okay? This is where we're maybe somewhere in the middle, all right? Somewhere in the middle. It's not our best day. It's not our worst. It is what it is. So you might hit a 45-minute workout. You might hit 80% of your nutrition, whatever you set there. You might only be able to text a couple of people. You might get a protocol done, a 10-minute protocol, because that's all time allows for. But you've selected the right one for your situation and it's helped. So it's still good. You still move forwards. And then C is where we want to be on the floor, but we've decided we're going to do slightly better than that. So we're going to be just above the floor. This is for the days where the shit's hit the fan and we just don't really want to do much, but we're going to do a little bit. So that might be a walk instead of a workout. It might be you drank some water. I'm just going to write hydrate there. It might be, you might have hugged your kid. Like, honestly, this is like the bare minimum. This is as simple as we can do. You might have done 5 minutes of heart breathing. Okay. I'm going to draw a heart there. Whatever it may be. What I'm trying to get across to you here is that we don't always need to be up here on the ceiling trying to be perfect with this daily stuff, because the worst thing you can do is get obsessed with this and have it take away from you actually living your life. And I have experienced that. I've done it every day. It was, no, I've got to hit my daily points. I've got to get this done. I've got to be perfect. And it got to the point where I was like, no, this needs to change. So I meditated daily for 365 days. And on 366th day, I didn't. And I tracked all this data. I was using my headband. I haven't got it here to show you, but I have a headband that tracks brainwaves. I was tracking all the data, got it all there every day for 365 days without fail. Even on the days when my wife's pissed off with me because we need to do something and I'm sitting there trying to meditate, I did it. And I tracked the data. And then I realized, well, hang on a minute. There comes a point where we get diminishing returns because what you're doing is taking away from something else. So I dropped it. That's the streak gone. 365 days tracked, gone, finished. And I did it on purpose because I knew that I had to break that cycle. So what I want to get across here is there is no need to be perfect. There is no need to be obsessive. The point is you're investing in yourself, and there is more than one way to do that. And that's what your A, Bs, and Cs give you. Minimum effective dose down here for when the shit hits the fan, and then better, more ideal day for when you have time and things are going normal. And then in here we have your average, which is what you're going to do most of the time. And that's okay. Just doing better than your worst will get you moving. You'll build up those accounts slowly, and you'll be feeling better for it. Okay. So I've hit you with quite a lot. I'm going to give you a quick recap. So we're taking the old power games, whether you have experienced those or not, and we are changing them. Okay, we're simplifying them. We're focusing on the highest leverage activities. So rather than mind, body, heart, and soul, half a point for all of these things, we're going PRP, physical, relationships, personal. Half a point for movement, half a point for fueling yourself in whatever way that looks like. Half a point for doing something for your family, half a point for your community, focus on connection, and then an entire point for doing something that helps move you from A to B, whatever that may be. It could be a protocol, it could be something within the program, it could be something related to your career. Don't care, doesn't matter. You choose it, but it needs to be something that's going to move you forwards. It can't be some random old shit that's got no relation to anything. It needs to be important to you. Okay. Then we talked about finding the minimum effective dose. So rather than falling off the wagon and being at your worst and then pushing to get back up and doing everything at your best and trying to be perfect and bouncing back and forth between this, we talked about just doing better than your worst and how that will gradually move you forwards. And on its own, it will raise the ceiling by raising the floor. Rather than forcibly trying to do better and better and better, we do enough that we raise the floor and then gradually get better that way. And when we added in an A, B, and a C, so you have the minimum effective dose to still invest in these things daily, because these are the basic health things that we want to be investing in, but in a way that works based on what's going on in your life at the moment. Okay. We're investing in ourselves in the most important aspects of our life. That's what this is. It's an investment. And you'll draw on these when things go wrong. Okay. If you've invested your time and your care and your energy into your physical health, then down the line, when you get older, you're going to be thankful of that because then you're not going to have to be in the hospital. You know, things still happen, obviously, but you've got less chance of being in the hospital, having to pay out money for treatment, all these different things because you haven't looked after yourself, you haven't invested. When we look at your relationships, when you are struggling, and you will, because that's life, and you need help, you need someone to be there for you. If you've invested, you've got them there waiting for you. And same with the work you're doing personally on yourself. You've invested in yourself so that you can cope with everything that life throws at you as a first responder and just in general. Because all this stuff we do, it just makes you better, gives you greater capacity to cope, it up levels your skills, and you are putting yourself into a place where you can cope with life. And life changes so quickly. So we need these skills. We need to do these things. Okay. So this is the Power Games 2.0 for 2025, brand new. Like I said, you can go through the old Power Games if you want to, but this is what I would have you start doing. Okay, 3 points a day, PRP, ABCs to keep you consistent. All right. So, any questions on this, reach out and let me know. But hopefully, this is pretty clear and you understand one, why we're doing this, two, how to execute it, and three, how to adapt it based on what's going on in your life. All right. So, any questions, please reach out and let me know. But go with this because this will help you loads. All right. All of this will keep you on track. All right. So, reach out if you need anything.